Time to turn our attention to the first matchup of the final day of the playoffs. It is the penultimate game. Is that how we've been prefacing it recently, Guz? That's your new favourite word, isn't it? It's the penultimate final between two APAC titans.
I mean, you could say that. It is it is technically the second last match of the playoffs. The winner goes on to that grand final to take on Cyclops. The loser will lock themselves in for third place. Again, keeping in mind, first to fourth, same SI points. Every team goes to the major. It is prize pool that these guys are fighting it out for. Divers off the back of yesterday, again, a little bit disappointed in how they played. That's not coming from me, that's coming from themselves. They did push it to that third map, just not quite having enough to get that result over the line. In terms of their head-to-head against Elevate, obviously quite strong this stage. They were undefeated, so they'll be looking to just replicate that and get the job done.
Well, they're going up against Elevate, a team that has been in these kind of positions quite often. 8 different occasions that they have their chance to go to an international, just an international tournament last year that they missed out on. Obviously already booking the Charlotte Major. They're now looking to prove that they are the best in APAC. Remembering this really, these last 2 games, it kind of does, it sums up, I guess, the work of both APAC North and APAC South for the first stage. So Elevate fighting their way through this Xenox. I mean, the chuckles from Onigiri, I think, says it all, doesn't it? It's the smirk that we've seen through and through for the last year and a half. It's been a treat.
Yeah, and look, it's not the most pressurized situation to be in. Obviously, we spoke to Onigiri yesterday, and yes, there is going to be thoughts on the major, but most importantly, I think that this is a pretty decent match in all honesty, because when you look at Elevate as a whole, remembering they started the regular season losing their first 2 games to Renatus and to Direwolves, and in which was the last time they actually played the Direwolves. That was on Oregon, 7-4 loss. So they've had to find form later, and in the middle portions of APAC South, moving forward into the playoffs, in which they've obviously been able to do by getting to lower bracket final. So it's been a really big run for Elevate, whereas Direwolves, they had the undefeated streak and all of that. It's been relatively cruisy until their loss in the upper bracket final to Cyclops. In some ways, though, this lower bracket final, to me, feels like the grand final of APAC South, right? Because whoever wins this goes into the grand final against an APAC North team. And this is 1 and 2 from the APAC South regular season. So this does feel like, and as much as obviously the Direwolves went undefeated, the 7-0, all of that, best team in the regular season, no doubt about it, but the regular season has to be combined with the playoffs, and that's what we're doing here. And I feel like in some ways, this does feel like the winner will be the best team from APAC South going into the major.
Well, a bit of momentum would never hurt either of these teams. Let's have a look at the vetoes, determine which of the 3 maps we're going to be playing on. I'm sure a skyscraper might make it through. No, we're actually going to go to a bit of an old Tradiciano. I feel like I haven't seen, Oregon Villa Cafe for quite some time. Cafe played far too much in APAC South of last year. Guz, as we're looking at this, the Oregon pick, are we at all worried after what we saw last night?
For Elevate?
For Direwolves, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much we can extract necessarily from that Oregon result yesterday, considering it was not the most structured match of Oregon we've ever seen. But in terms of looking at the data, Elevate actually are quite strong on Oregon. So yeah. Direwolves equally very strong as well. In fact, it's probably one of their better maps for both of these teams heading in. So really interesting to see that we're actually going to head there. You can see the team stats, a 1 win in the column of each of these rosters. So heading on to Oregon, honestly, quite split. So a little bit brave, I think, to head here straight off the bat, but should give us a good insight, I think, to how the rest of the series could play out.
Interesting to see 50-50 overall here for the defender side. Obviously, only seen it played twice, Xenox, but do we expect, that the old traditional conversation about dorms and kids to be sneaking into this one?
Yeah, probably. I think this is, well, the last time these 2 teams played, the first half was a 3-3 split. Direwolves did take 3 attacking rounds, and from there they actually dominated on the defense as well, winning 4 of 5. So Direwolves actually won it rather comprehensively on Oregon last time these 2 teams played. That was back in Play Day 2, back in March though, so you probably don't look too deep into that one, but I think you can take into account that Direwolves might be just a little bit better on the defense, and on a map like Oregon, that's going to be a big factor. I probably don't agree with the 50-50 split here that we've got on that graphic. It generally is more 40-60 generally favoring the defending teams. So the biggest thing will be, you know, in the other maps to come, Villa, Cafe, and I feel like those two maps might benefit Elevate just a little bit more. So must win, it feels like, for Direwolves probably on Oregon. They should win that one, and then from there it should be, you know, open season, and we'll see how we go. I expect this one probably to go to all three.
Guz, Direwolves or Elevate for first map?
Oh, for the first map, I think Direwolves might just edge out Elevate, but I would not be surprised if we see an overtime.
Well, I think overtime may well be on the agenda, and so are the casters that we have, of course, for the final time, potentially, in an APAC broadcast. It's Ravinsky and Devmata.
I like how you get a cool name and I don't get anything, but yeah, well, Raven, I mean, this does feel a bit of a big deal. This is your final cast with us, is it not? I'm gutted, man. What are you doing? Why are you leaving me? What's this all about? Oh, well, let's just get in the game. Let's get hyped for this match, and let's do it absolute justice. It should be a big one, and it does start, of course, on Oregon. It is Direwolves map pick. Yeah, you're muted, mate. Are you good now?
Sorry, guys.
It's your last cast. Come on, show some professionalism.
Botched
This
it
is
at
why
the
we
end.
had to get rid of you. All right, it starts here between Direwolves and Elevate on Oregon. Direwolves as map pick. They won it in the regular season 7-4 over Elevate. And the social vote tends to reflect that perhaps they can repeat that feat.
Does seem so, and look, I feel the confidence as well. Last time these guys played, you know, Direwolves, they did show up pretty well against Elevate and Oregon. It seems to be an area of comfort for Direwolves, so yeah, I'm feeling pretty comfortable that they're probably going to perform quite well on this map, and we'll see what Elevate has in store.
Dude, who's... It's happy birthday, ED, of course! I remember
Ah.
seeing ED on Twitter. He said it is his birthday today. So Direwolves got the birthday buff. How much does that count for? I don't know, but it wouldn't be bad to be the APAC playoff stage 1 champions as a birthday gift. That wouldn't be too bad.
Certainly wouldn't be too bad at all. But no, look, sometimes we've even seen it be more of a nerf, so we'll see how it actually pans out for ED today. Hopefully it doesn't give him the pressure he doesn't really want to have. This is an interesting little attacker ban combo here, by the way. The Flores and the Twitch.
No droning, mate.
No droning at all. It's just the old OGs.
Damn shame, damn shame. Well, that does leave Thatcher up, of course. Operator that is almost always banned, but even when left in, not always picked. We saw that a little bit yesterday in some of the matches. Of course, that Flores ban is going to make it a bit more difficult to clear the blue bunker shield position. Because usually you can just get your Rotero drone nice on and in there. But of course, it's going to have to be a game of projectiles, and projectiles are going to be flying freely without those Wamai pancakes to worry about.
Yeah, man, this feels like Jaeger is going to be a pretty heavy mainstay in these defense lineups for the rest of this game because, like you said, going to be a lot of projectiles and, you know, frag grenades needed on the attack for just clearing general things, and you're going to need something to counter those. And yeah, I really think Jaeger probably going to have pretty much 100% pick rate with that Wamai ban now, because otherwise it's going to be a pretty uncomfortable situation for those defense setups.
I'd love to see the Thatcher used to counter that Wamai as well, because I feel like a lot of people, it flies under the radar that Thatcher is not good just for EMPing wall denial, but also for projectile denial, plant denial. We saw yesterday, I believe, Chiefs used the Thatcher to prevent the Yokai drones of Echo from denying plant, and that was really effective. So I hope we get to see more creative uses of Thatcher as well. But there's one big thing that defense has that they might not usually get to have on Oregon. That's the mirror. And I gotta say, mirror is a force to be reckoned with on this bomb site.
Yeah, especially this bomb site. There's quite a few actually strong placements for that mirror. You really, I know you've only got 2 to place, but you've got a choice of probably 4 or so positions that you can put it, and it could definitely have an impact. So yeah, I'm really keen to see how exactly Direwolves are going to use this to their advantage. And overall, I think their lineup is quite good. Again, talking about projectiles and just the things that will need to be done in these attack processes. You know, even bringing the Aruni almost serves similar to a Jaeger, right? Like it's there to burn utility or to tank HP. So I think it's a really cool adaptation here from Direwolves to bring that in tandem with the Jaeger. So it does mean that things are going to have to be thrown into that gate just to be able to get through.
On the attacking side, we've seen some repicks. One of them is the Amaru. And Onigiri gets a very early pick with it. Not to mention there is a trade on the other side of the map. And, well, it's already a bit of a bloodbath here. So we're in a 4v4, 30 seconds into the round.
Yeah, 2 kills 30 seconds in, not so common, but it's going to be a bit of an even sway. You know, I don't think that really impacts either team too much. You could say maybe it impacts Elevate a little bit more with the Jackal off the board. He's not going to be able to hunt down roamers or anyone playing in some special little positions, but I think at the end of the day, it's not too big of a deal. Onigiri now just holding down. Pretty interesting little line of sight through a hit hole, but I like this from Elevate. You know, they're setting up for, I guess, the lesser conventional attack. I think the primary attack is often in through bunker, in through the big tower, and down the rear stage stairs. Beautiful nade from DCH. And already Elevate getting some really great pressure in through Freezer on the lobby side.
A well-cooked grenade, probably not the birthday present that ED was looking for, but he gets it nonetheless. That's the thing sometimes. You get a gift that you might not want. 4v3 now, and the attackers have an advantage, like you said, going for this front side push, but they're going to be met with 2 mirror windows, formulating some serious power positions for Direwolves to honestly quite comfortably play a 3 versus 4 position.
Certainly so, and still a lot of time on the clock as well. I think that's a really important factor here, is Direwolves are going to be feeling a pressure from this attack for quite an extended period. So need to start to do something to really get things back in their favor, because on top of that, Elevate with that man advantage, they'll be able to really have their way. DCH just pushes deep through Freezer, that mirror not really playing at all into a help for Direwolves, but that's a pretty good shot there from Jackie Wu. Souffle cleans up as well, and just like that, Direwolves have that man advantage.
Oh, and these mirror windows are just far too powerful. Poor Onigiri left in a 1 versus 3. It was a 4v3. Direwolves leverage their power positions so perfectly. Elevate getting a little bit stumped, getting a little bit ahead of themselves. Haven't even opened up the bottom laundry stairs barricade. And now Onigiri will try and find 3 duels. Doesn't even win the first one. Direwolves can fairly confidently win a 3 versus 4 disadvantage.
Yeah, really good job from Direwolves, because it was basically just as they stopped saying, you know, like they're in a pretty bad position in that they had the man disadvantage, still a lot of time left on the clock for Elevate to progress that attack. But no, they did a really great job in their kind of anchoring positions to get a couple of frags and really turn the tide of that one. So great job from them. And yeah, Elevate left reeling a little bit.
I mean, Oregon has always been a staple map for Elevate. It is, in their National League in particular, their most played map. They have 17 wins and 6 losses on this map in what their last, well, since October, right? So that's a decent, what is that, 6-ish months? 17 wins, and most of those coming through in their national leagues. But funnily enough, the times that Elevate do play it at a regional level, they don't always have so much success. Of course, we're talking about the most recent fixture between these 2 teams was in APAC South. Direwolves won 7-4 on Oregon. But, I mean, Direwolves have been winning everything in APAC South. They, in fact, got their first loss in 116 days yesterday to Cyclops. Technically still making them undefeated against APAC South teams for 116 days.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely something that makes it, I guess, a bit tricky when you consider what maps to take Direwolves to, because I'm going to say this without actually looking at the full stats, because I don't have the time, but it feels like Direwolves have a pretty deep map pool, right? Like, I feel like I've seen them play a lot of different maps throughout the stage, so to have maintained an undefeated streak is pretty impressive. It's not like they're just going to 2 maps and they're just hard focusing on those, you know?
See if I can have a look at some stats. And yeah, I mean, they play a lot of maps. They don't really have any insta-bans. They have some highly banned maps, but they've also got a decent number of plays on those as well. Goes to show the versatility of this star up-and-coming roster. I think it is fair to say up-and-coming, because for a long time, Direwolves have been middle pack, and they've really tossed aside that label in recent times, and they have done it thanks to the pickup of Harambe, who's found the opening pick. Harambe, the newest member of this squad, who's brought a lot more than just a plucky attitude and some insane dance moves.
Yeah, no, it seems like he's really mixed well with the energy of the Direwolves as an existing team. But yeah, their roster changes have worked out so well for them. And here they are standing up to Elevate. As I was thinking of saying, Elevate's time management really good here. They got in with Habana very quickly, got Closet opened. Once again, the time management really good, but Dial's just doing what they can to stand up. But Onigiri just goes deep. He tanks the Aruni gate, gets the pick at least.
Oh, but there's a flank here and a potential that is just guarded once again by Onigiri. And this leaves it in a 3 versus 1. Jackie Wu's position revealed, and Onigiri, he's always good for those shots. Big round from him, and a good retaliation from Elevate.
Yeah, really good retaliation. We were talking about Harambe getting that opening pick, and off the back of the laundry as well. Just felt like, I know only round 2, but it felt like Dial was doing a really good job of controlling the game. And then Onigiri in particular kind of dictated the pace or dictated the acceleration of that one. So good job from Elevate. Something that they're really dangerous for as well, right? Is like sometimes it might not be near the end of the round. It might be still a whole minute to go and they just kind of hit the trigger and decide to just take sight from you.
They're so unafraid to just push in, just make a play, just take that fight. They see an opening, they're going to do it. And in particular, we also saw Onigiri clearing the power positions with nades. I'm thinking about that deployable shield, which has been brought once again, and I wonder will it be placed in that exact same default position by ED. It was dismissed really easily. I don't know whether there were Jaeger devices, ADSs to burn, or whether it was just the Arena Gate, but Onigiri cleared that so early on. And then from that point forward, he's just like, all right, can I find a pick? Here it is. Move on.
That's right. 5 seconds left. Elevate doing a good job with their attack lineups as well. Really ensuring they've got everything they need to deal with what these Dials setups involve. As we talked about at the start, because of these bans, Jaeger and even the Aruni really hard staying in the lineup here for Dials to hinder projectiles. But if you look on the side of Elevate, they have so much that they can use at their disposal. The 3 stuns on Mark. They've got 6 frag grenades in total, on top of the fact that they're bringing the Zofia with the projectile impacts and the sledge as well. I can really make light work of literally anything. So these bans do kind of make it a bit interesting for the defenses in terms of what they'll have to try and handle.
Oh. Nice early pick there from Jackie, and a second bout of aggression from Direwolves. This will certainly turn around their fates in this round. However, they need to be critically careful not to overextend now. As Elevate try and claw back that advantage, make it a 3 versus 4. With the early smokes burnt as well, and Souffle on low HP, there is a chance here for Elevate.
He is. Pace good. Mr. Punch now has access in through Attic as well, so that means that Direwolves are going to have to be very careful, very conscious of the progress. And the drone goes in. This could be really big for Onigiri. Thankfully, there is a player in the pit. It is Harambe that's going to stop the progress, but Onigiri, he is keen for this fight, and this frag grenade could have huge impact if it hits the mark.
Not sure whether it was going for the barbed wire or not, but it does clear it nonetheless, and Harambe escapes with full health. No ADS to protect him, however. Mark staring down a bulletproof camera, and a very awkward position for him to try and crouch, and he's got to try and vault that position of the shield. Harambe takes a bit of damage, and Mr. Punch follows with a kill. Onigiri now taking pit control, and Elevate have well and truly squared themselves an advantage with Mark piling on as well. Just ED and Souffle to desperately try and win this one out.
Yeah, and ED only one on site as well, so he's having to really hold this down. Souffle below finally gets Mr. Punch, but ED taken care of by Elevate. So in this 2v1 situation, Souffle on basically 1 HP. It's going to be tough.
Look at the way that Onigiri holds this angle as well. You just cannot contest that, especially not when you're as low on HP as Souffle is. Mark as well with the long angle. Onigiri on the off. Oh my god! That was a nasty shot from Souffle, and if he can pull another one of those out of the hat, then absolutely he can clutch it. The 1 HP dream!
That was unreal, man. I thought he had absolutely no chance, but they were 2 very clean shots. You see Onigiri acknowledges it in chat. NS, the reaction from Harambe just there, absolutely amazing. That was an unreal retake.
I still can't believe that. That was 2 nuts shots back to back. Look at this. I mean, how do you win that? How do you win that? How does Onigiri lose that? And again on the cross, a quad kill on for the round. A huge boost to the ego for Soufflé. And, well, a round that Direwolves absolutely should have lost. They managed to get on their side.
Yeah, and look, they've been just so good at that all stage. You know, a lot of 1vx's coming into their camp, looking at the leaderboard here in terms of clutches. Jackie Wu was the 3rd highest in the regular stage for APAC South. And it felt like just so many games we were constantly seeing these clutches coming out from Direwolves, a very, I don't know if you say famous, but like a pretty big one happening in playoffs actually from ED. And then that leads me to talk about the playoff stats. ED and Soufflé both with 3 each so far in the playoffs. Wow. It's a pretty significant amount of clutches to have secured in such big stakes.
It's got to be one of the highest clutch potential teams that we've had in playoffs so far, which is funny because when you think about Direwolves, yeah, Soufflé and Pika have traditionally been the fraggers, but you don't think, oh, this is a stacked roster, like in terms of individual gunners. Like you're thinking of a roster like IG, which funnily enough didn't even make top 4 APAC South, despite having some of the most dangerous players in the league. You know, clutch potential of players like Speakeasy and Nate. And yet Direwolves are still managing to rack up those numbers. Uh-oh. Pika, unfortunately, does disconnect. Onigiri, though. Oh my god, as if he contests that. Why does he... That is Onigiri for you, mate. He could just shield up, but no, he actually tries to fight it.
It's the ranked instincts, isn't it? Like,
I think his like survival instinct is directly wired to his index finger left click button. It's just like, as soon as he feels pressure, click, click, click.
seems accurate. I don't know whether this is that common. I don't recall Onigiri really playing that much Montaigne before. Not really an operator that you see Elevate in general play a lot of, but it feels interesting seeing Onigiri be the one to take up the role.
Yeah, you put your star player on that operator, you're definitely reducing his frag potential, but I mean, especially with the way he's been playing so far. But the rest of Elevate is well and truly capable of stepping up, and now they've made it a 5v3 thanks to that early disconnect. And DCH taking down Jackie Wu. With the Monty as well, this is a really good position to be in.
Yeah, super good position. Still 90 seconds on the board. They've got incredible map control here all through meeting and through the rear stairs. There's still a player of Direwolves at Pillar, and I think that's such a critical thing for Direwolves here. If they want any chance of holding on to this defense round, they need to try and maintain this pillar control as long as possible. It was Soufflé holding it. He's gone towards Freezer. It's Harambe, actually, sorry. He's on the stairs trying to get aggressive. So crucial that he can burn at least another 30 seconds in this position. Otherwise, Elevate will certainly have far too much control and can really start to overpower the site.
You got to feel like the Monty is going to be the tip of the spear. Walking in, grunt forcing. Look at the way Harambe gets so aggressive in here. His position revealed, Mark safe, and that is why you put Onigiri on the Monty. He is so unafraid to take these fights. This man's brain is wired directly to Mouse 1.
Unreal, yeah. Look, very aggressive Monty plays, but overall just really great attack from Elevate. Yeah, of course, there was the DC early on from Direwolves, but Elevate did a really good job capitalizing on that, and it was just constant forward progression. You know, Direwolves tried their best to claw it back and tried to play a little bit aggressive, for example, saw Harambe on those rear stairs, but Snellvale, Elevate just far too thorough.
Well, that's a bit of an exciting moment for Elevate. After a round like that, that'll get them going. And that laundry supply room attack on the first round looked pretty grim. Those mirror windows were just so hard to tackle. Direwolves played that well. Elevate adopted their strategy, adapted a different tactic, the Monty. And also not just feeding the mirrors. I think that's probably a good call. When there's mirror windows and you keep dying to them, just don't feed them. Push the other side of the map. Yes, it helps when there's a disconnect from the opposition, but I don't think that takes anything away from how well Elevate played that round.
Yeah, definitely not. And look, we're definitely getting a very tight competitive affair so far here on Oregon. It's really hard to to have a decision about which way it feels like this is going. These rounds where it feels like Direwolves is absolutely standing up, but then it's the same on the Elevate side. And of course, we did see some clutches as well on Direwolves. So yeah, I don't know. I'm finding it tough to feel like where we're going to see the separation between these two teams, especially as we go to the next half. But this is it's been good so far.
For Direwolves now, the decision is to retry Laundry Supply or move on to a tertiary site. Dorms is now locked. I feel like you've got to retry Laundry Supply, but what do you change about that? Do you start bringing out a hard counter to the Monty, something like a Legion or a Smoke? Because funnily enough, Direwolves actually didn't play a Smoke last round.
True.
This is the kind of thing that they can talk about during this technical timeout. What are the plays? What is the way to try and counter that Monty on this map on that side?
I feel like even something like an Ella. I think it was Pika.
You love your Ella.
I do love my Ella at the moment. It's definitely a unhealthy addiction. But no, I remember Direwolves actually throughout the regular stage playing quite a lot of Ella on Oregon. I think it was Pika in particular. Was an absolute demon with the Scorpion. So I feel like that's a good play. Like if they bring in the Monty, you know, you use those Grishmots in positions that are, you know, unrecoverable for a Montaigne. So, you know, make halfway down the stairs, or even hold them in the pockets and use them when the Montaigne is pushed into an aggressive position that can be crossfired or capitalized on when that shield kind of extends from the concussion. I think stuff like that pretty good. Obviously, you can also do the Legion, but I don't know. I feel like Legion has started to fall out of play a little bit because it's so easy with those drones to swap the goos. Very easy to shoot them. They're a bit harder to place, I guess, sneakily.
Yeah, it's true. And the other thing is when you're trying to counter that Monty, the best solutions tend to be combinations of these operators. Like, you know, you go your Ella and your Smoke, and you kind of slow the characters down while doing tick damage. Same with the Legion. But of course, it ends up being very expensive when you're committing half your lineup to countering a single operator on the opposition. But the repick comes out from Onigiri, and we will see Montaigne once again. However, the distinction this time for the defense is we do have that swap back onto the Smoke instead of the Alibi.
Yeah, and look, that's good too, because if the Monty is really getting up in your face, Smoke is a great counter for that. Smoke often played on this site not for, you know, plant denial or that kind of last 45-second time burn, which you see on a lot of other maps. Often for this site in particular, it's more about the early to mid-round time burn. You know, if you're trying to take elbow or through bunker, use the Smoke to just delay that as long as possible. I guess same philosophy here, right? If Onigiri is getting a lot of progress with the Montaigne, getting a lot of info, it's no issue to use those Toxic Babes to kind of get him out of your face for at least, you know, almost a minute.
Definitely a good play, especially with how we've seen Onigiri not afraid to get in there and start fighting these players, even with that pistol. Looks like Elevate attempted to clear the roam. I don't think they have full info that the entire map's clear. They did notice that rotation hole in attic, so they were wary at least of some potential presence. EMP comes out, and gonna see the secondary hard breach from the Monty. Who needs a Hibana?
That's a good point. I mean, there's something else that we didn't even talk about is the fact that the Monty can bring 2 secondary hard breach charges, so it does free up an additional operator selection, essentially. As you said, there's no other dedicated hard breach in this attack lineup, which is quite interesting, and that's sharp from DCH to take out Jackie Wu. This is progressing pretty well for Elevate.
2 rounds in a row that DCH has found the opener onto Jackie. Further putting that pressure onto Direwolves. They now try and sit and hold their positions. They have these mirror windows, but of course Elevate still have that Monty to march on down. Over a minute left, and it's hard to determine who's going to be in the advantage come this execute.
Definitely is. And I think more importantly, where is the push really coming from? It seems like it's the rear stairs. Onigiri is about to be the front man of this push. And it's Mr. Punch with Diffuser. And you look at the time, 45 seconds to go. There's not going to be a big rotate opportunity off of this. It's either going to have to be a hatch drop to plant, or it is going to have to be forcing these rear stairs. Harambe, though, absolutely amazed or stunned, I guess, by the player on the rear stairs. And just like that, Dev, Elevate running over the top of Direwolves.
They just push everywhere at once. And that sure is far too much to overcome for Direwolves. He's peeking now in a 1 versus 4. He makes it a 1-on-3. He's got the Vector, but that diffuser is going down. He needs to deny the plant. There's no way he can win it in the post, and it won't even get to that. Elevate, with this Monsi, are undefeated, attacking that laundry supply bomb site.
Yeah, I was a bit bemused that, I can't remember who it was that died. I think it was Harambe just dying to the players at rear stairs. The Monty had been there for ages. 2 players fighting it. It's just, you have to expect a player to play behind that shield. But credit to Elevate, the Monty strat working out super well. Look, we questioned that Onigiri was the one playing it, but he's certainly getting a lot of info and his team are playing beautifully around him. I guess to flip it on the other side, really didn't see Direwolves try and counter it a whole lot. We saw one Toxic Babe go to the rear stairs, but then that was it.
Yeah, I mean, that Toxic Babe almost caused a full rotation from Elevate as well. Like, that was, I felt, perfect for the timing. But the only advantage, I guess, that Direwolves had was that that time was on their side and the numbers were even. And as soon as Elevate found those 2 quick picks, like you mentioned the Harambe pick as well, that was when it just fell apart. Elevate pushed in all at once, and that's really become the meta on that bomb site, hasn't it? Push everything at the same time, and it means you can't hold crossfires, because that is the bane of an attacker's existence, is walking into a crossfire between 2 defenders. Well, if you have even just one player push every potential avenue onto that basement bomb site, you need one. It ends up making all of these fights 1v1s. That's what Elevate want.
Yeah, if you think about the nature of that bomb site too, towards the end of round, you're generally, like, the defense is generally playing quite packed together. So I think that naturally produces a lot more crossfires, so you do have to kind of attack everywhere all at once just to spread the defense out a little bit. But look, I think Direwolves will be stoked that they finally locked in a laundry defense win. No, what am I saying? They have not been able to lock in a laundry defense win, and they will not be stoked with that, in fact. And they've decided not to go to that on their last defense rounds. So this is a big opportunity for them to try and get it back to be 3-3.
It is a bit cool, though, to go for the tertiary bomb site, because both Dorms and Laundry are open, and yet they don't want to retry. I mean, if you think about it, Dorms was only 1 off of a clutch, and Laundry has now been lost twice in a row, so perhaps you can't fault them, but they've got to deliver here on their tertiary site, meeting, and kitchen. With the Thatcher in, it's just so easy to get some hard breach going on this wall.
Here's Jackie Wu, though, keen to get aggressive, and it doesn't work out for him. Pika, though, managed to find 2. Absolutely unreal stuff. And on top of that, Jackie Wu actually hasn't been finished off. Finally is by Onigiri, but a good trade from ED. Well covered by Direwolves here.
Oh my god.
Elevate also pitching in 90 seconds in, and we are just experiencing chaos in about 20 seconds of space of time. And geez, that was quite hectic.
Less than half the round, and more than half the players in the server are dead. All right, that's something new. Let's see if Direwolves can hold on. It's just Harambe and Souffle. Souffle's already had an unbelievable clutch in this game so far with 2 really, really tight headshots. Now it's DCH and Sapper to try and hold on and march on forward. Oh, Harambe just manages to cross as Sapper stops holding the angle. And now Sapper will try and find that angle back. DCH going in for the peak. Harambe goes down. And now it's on Souffle to once again demonstrate that he can clutch up big with some sharp shots. He's going to need to, as the angle is held by Sapper, and unfortunately for Souffle, it is not to be. Another good round for Elevate means that they run away with that half. A convincing 4-2 split on the unfavored side of Direwolves' map pick.
Yeah, it's just a really strong attack half from Elevate, honestly. Direwolves just really failed to adapt to what Elevate were doing. I think in particular, those laundry defenses is what really stands out to me. You know, they didn't really adapt to the different ways that Elevate attacked it, in particular once that Monty started coming out. So big props to Elevate on that one. They certainly are taking a solid advantage coming into the second half on their defense.
I'm not sure it's well for Direwolves for the series, to be honest. I just can't help but think if Elevate can win this map, they're just looking on today. They would be getting revenge on Direwolves for a map that Elevate lost to Direwolves on during the regular stage. Elevate look on the ball in terms of their individual plays, their individual talent, but also just their team play and their countering mid-map. I think they did an excellent job countering the mirror windows on that basement site. And it scared Direwolves off trying it again. And I've got to think, you know, moving into map 2, if it's a 1-0 scoreline to Elevate, I feel like this may well be a quick series.
Certainly could be. I mean, this is Direwolves' map pick, right? And so far it felt like that was not them really delivering the strength you'd expect on the team's map pick, and also on the half that you'd expect them to be favoured on as well. So certainly some worrying signs, but we'll see what they've got on attack. There's certainly no slouch as an attacking team either. Really seen some beautiful attacks from them, combining for some beautiful plays. I will never forget, I know it wasn't of recent times, it was more like last year actually, but Pika and I think it was Souffle putting an absolute clinic on a chalet map against IG. That was when I really realized the prowess that the attacks of Direwolves can have.
Yeah. No, that's very true. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself, even though I like to do so. It's one of my favorite things, getting ahead of myself. But I'm glad you're here to call me out. Yeah, absolutely. Direwolves could make a big comeback here on their attack, but they've got to show that they're switched on, especially if Elevate do things like this. You see Mark in the little rat corner. I mean, he could deal serious damage if he's not covered. But if Direwolves are on their A game, if they're watching out, then it will mean an early pick and an early advantage for their side. Now, Elevate are not running the mirror like we saw from Direwolves. So, in theory, Direwolves should have a bit more of a capability to go for this front push that didn't work out so well for Elevate.
They would think so. Nice nade here from ED.
Oh,
that was
beautiful.
cooked to perfection. You could see it in motion. Mark would have had no clue what was coming his way until it was too late. So great job from Elevate to get that opening pick. Big
Also,
difference.
oh, sorry, I was going to say, they didn't even take out the default cam before they naded that. Like, there was a
True.
false sense of security for Elevate there.
That's a good point. I think the other thing I was going to say is the big difference I'm noticing so far is just the time management. You know, Direwolves feeling it's a little bit slower, a little bit more careful, cautious than Elevate. I think that's also the effect of the Montaigne, for example, with Elevate. You don't have to be as thorough with droning, right? You just push the Montaigne forward, get that info, and you've kind of got the progress at the same time.
Also managed to get a decent breach onto this bricks wall and deny that position that Mr. Punch was trying to play. Also denies the Harry Potter position under the stairs. This is some really good methodical work from Direwolves, and now another pick. Pika's in the side, but does get traded. 30 seconds left, and Direwolves are furthering their man advantage. It's now at 2 versus 4 for DCH and Onigiri on site. Direwolves will try to push on forward. These Elevate players not interested in giving up just yet. Harambe makes it a 1v4 for Onigiri. Turns it into a 1-on-3. This is winnable, but he's going to have to land some nuts shots, and Souffle puts him in the dirt. A good way to get back on the horse for Direwolves and for them to say that they are still in this game.
Yeah, really good, strong statement starting rounds there on the attack side from Direwolves. Certainly something that they needed. And again, the curse of laundry kind of continues in this game. I don't think... Actually, let me quickly open the match tracker here. Has anybody won? Besides round 1, no one has won a defense on laundry. That's insane.
Direwolves managed at that first round, but aside from that, yeah, has not been won a single time.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defended.
Elevate's actually going to go straight back there, and they're still not bringing the mirror. However, they are bringing a Caveira, which
Of course.
I think maybe the lowest pick rate defender in comp. I don't know. That's probably safe to say. Do you reckon the lowest pick rate defender? Like back in the day, it was Tachanka, right? But now he's not actually really a meme anymore. I feel like maybe, you know, Bank Basement, you might see some Tachanka. I feel like Cav has got to be the least picked operator in a Rainbow Six at a competitive level.
I can tell you, this is the first time Caveira has been picked in the playoffs.
Nice.
Based on the pick rate percentages, and if I'm just looking through the other APAC
Attackers must
stages.
locate and defuse the
I don't
bomb.
think Caveira was picked at all on APAC South for the
I don't
entire
remember.
stage.
We would have remembered it, right? Like it's that notable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I mean, like, Caveira's just not appearing on pick rate stats, so I think that says enough that she's just not picked.
And we talked briefly about rat plays last round. This is the definition of like a rat. Like Kavera, I'm pretty sure one of her parents was actually a rat, and she's some kind of genetic like modification. No, I'm joking. She's like the premise of the operator is hoping that the attackers make a mistake, don't drone that corner, and guess what? ED just did. Wait a second.
I don't think he saw it.
ED. Oh,
Oh, he
Jackie would have
did.
got him. Oh, Sapper. It was all for naught. And guess what? That is, of course. I bet you that's Jackie we just saying a team. What, there's a bloody cab in the corner, mate. Like, you're just pinging it out for his team. Of course, it also does give now the Dockerby of ED a chance to hack the defender's cameras, which would be a huge amount of info into the late round, and also info denied from the attacker's side as well. They'll know exactly where those bulletproof cameras are that Onigiri and Mark have brought. So that's a huge advantage early on for Direwolves.
Just note too, that has to be one of those plays where Sapper was like, guys, let me try something. Like, that's never suggested by a teammate, right? Like, I couldn't imagine an instance that any teammate would be like, hey, bro, you should go play Kavera. We should try this.
Sit in showers, and I'm going to... Well, to be fair, like, they did kind of bait for him. Remember, DCH, like, was sprayed around and tried to make Direwolves think he was the only roamer there, but credit to Direwolves. They are a vigilant team, and they won't just get ahead of themselves. They will do their due diligence.
So, approaching this minute mark again. It was around this time we said, you know, the time management had been different between the two teams, but it didn't really matter at the end for Direwolves. And it may not matter again here because they have a man advantage, some really good progress. There is still a really key position held at Pillar, and still holding Bunker as well is Elevate. So they have the positioning to be able to hold on to this. Just have to be able to dig deep.
Good counter from Elevate, making sure that that wall on bricks will not be breached by the Hibana. Very aware of the hold that Direwolves are trying to crack. Exactly the best way to play around it. Now Direwolves have a couple of options open. And ED's looking to make a play from the bottom lobby stairs. Oh, almost loses his life. Onigiri trying to duel the DMR against DMR battle. Who will be the better? It is Onigiri, as it always is. With the DMR, nobody can out-DMR the DMR master. And Elevate hold on in a convincing 4v5 to 4v0.
Insane. They did such a good job holding onto that side as Direwolves pushed. And once again, Elevate just proving their strength so far on this map. Pushes them out to that 5-3 lead, and this starts to get to be the business end of the round. Elevate, one more round and they're going to be on that match point. Two more and they've got the map in their pocket. And of course, this is Direwolves map pick. So time for Direwolves to really try and summon some strength here on these attacks.
For Elevate, they'll be having a bit of a laugh right now. They went for the Cav, the desperate play from Sapper, and it absolutely fell flat on its face. And yet Elevate had no trouble holding on that round regardless. It goes to show you've got to have a lot of trust in your team to make a play like that. Also, it helps when Onigiri is going 12-4 with more than double kills of the next contender on his team. This is just his map. Like, this is the map where he broke the kill record. He just loves DMRs on this map. Give him a chance. Or pistols, apparently. You know, just give him the Monty pistol and he'll do damage as well. I think he got 3 kills with it by the end of that half.
You're right, yeah. Insane.
Man's unstoppable.
He is. No, look, he's been having another really good stage for Elevate. He obviously showed up at SI, everybody remembers his famous kill record game. Do you remember how much was it?
27, I believe.
That's unbelievable.
On this very map.
But yeah, no, he's backed it up, and I think that's the other really impressive thing about players like Onigiri. You know, is they have big games, but continue to back it up. And Elevator continuing to back up some of these strong plays here with that really quick opening kill into Harambe, which is a big one because that's the Hibana off the board.
That's the main hard breach for opening up the closet wall, which is so default on this side. And now Direwolves will be tested. How are they at adapting their push? Perhaps they'll go for a big window attic take instead. Perhaps they'll try and get the Maverick to do some breach on the closet. It really depends on their interpretation, but this is when they will be tested.
Calm before the storm as well here for Dials. Is calculating exactly where they're going to push. Souffle, of all places, is actually just at the big double window. So for the Maverick, not at pushing Attic, not pushing Master either, at least at this stage. Of course, we're only just past a minute in. Remember below, identified by Direwolves, but Pika not seeming keen to pick it. Souffle so close to getting DCH from the window. Finally, we are going to see a rotate off. And it looks like the intention is to go through Master here, as that's where the control has been taken from Direwolves.
Yeah, and that does mean that the Maverick will have to be the man to breach this main closet wall. Something you do not see very frequently at all. I wonder how well it will work. It's not easy to dance around that tiny little wall, vulnerable to C4s, potentially impacts, people peeking that breach. He's just going to make lines of sight.
Yeah.
That's all. Oh my god, that is that is risky. That's scary. I would not want to be peeking that cheese grater.
I guess they're just going to try and play with the line of sight and push below, maybe flush out from a big window. I don't know. This is going to be a bit of a scary little execute from Direwolves. Still 50 seconds on the clock. Mr. Punch seems undetected so far. Just down below, Pika is going to be in the fright of his life, but he pushes through, gets one. No reaction from Elevate at that point. Finally seeing the flank from White Stairs happen, but 30 seconds in, this is going to be huge from Mr. Punch. Direwolves on the ropes here, 2 versus 3.
The only thing that Direwolves had going for them was Pika in sight, and Mr. Punch swiftly dealt with that. Now it's just on 2 players, both seemingly pushing the same way. No entrance into the site. Souffle goes for a rotation, and he does manage to catch Sapper off guard. A huge pick, and now ED need to get this diffuser planted in the next 7 seconds. Starts forcing it down. It is on Souffle to cover. He gets the first one. The pistol is not there. And DCH can clutch up the final 2 kills. Match point is within Elevate's grasp.
Well fought, honestly. That was a bit of a back and forth round there. It felt like at one point Direwolves were going to hold on, but no, Elevate with a really nice retake and just got themselves into that winnable position. And winnable indeed. They are on match points. And quite a gap now. It felt like, especially in that first half, it was quite a close affair. I think when we got out to the 2-2 scoreline, you know, it really didn't feel like it was going to go this direction. But since then, Elevate have gone 5 rounds to 1 for Direwolves. 5 rounds? Am I counting that right? Yes. No, 4 rounds to 1. That's not how math works.
Ask me to do maths, man. Wait, no, yeah, 5 rounds to 1. Yeah.
I said from 2-2 though. That was what messed me up because I just looked at the Elevate symbols. That's why I said 5 to 1. Regardless, they've built themselves a really good deficit here. 3-round lead on match point on Direwolves map pick. That's yeah, good position to be in.
It sure is, but it does force Elevate now onto the tertiary bomb site. Now, Direwolves tried this as a last-ditch attempt to even up the final round of their half, and they couldn't hack it. Will Elevate have any more luck defending this meeting and kitchen bomb site? I don't know. It may well come down to this early aggression from Elevate and whether Direwolves is able to punish, because we've seen spawn peaks aplenty. We saw last round DCH kill Harambe, the Habana, really early on, and I mean that certainly put a thorn in Direwolves' side, ripped apart their plan. Direwolves need to be extra careful of that early aggro.
Speaking of early aggro, oh, I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was going to be the opening kill, but no. Not peaked at the right moment. Jackie Witho goes in on the hunt here. Knows of the player playing around the pit position. Actually 2 players playing on that top floor as well, so he's going to need some backup. They're going to try and make that pinch happen, otherwise it will probably end up just as a trade.
Oh, he wants to breach in from the closet, but sees it's reinforced. Direwolves going for a very ambitious map control take here. Harambe comes around and takes down Souffle! He's good for a double! What a series of shots from Malusi players we have had this game. And now on match point, Elevate have themselves a 5 versus 3 and will continue to hold on to this map control.
Oh no. Not sure if that's bugged or not, but either way, Harambe's going in.
Unlucky.
He's going to commit to it, and he hits a really great shot onto Mark. Some warning shots come out from DCH, but he's just going to rotate down. The job is done there, taking out both the Maverick and the Zofia on that attempted roam clear. Really good job from Mark in particular, some really sharp shots.
We're being traded back, and now map control being taken for Direwolves is a huge advantage to them. Fighting from a man deficit, they will need to leverage what they have gained, which is this map control. What can they achieve with it? It seems to be a rotation for Direwolves, going in from small tower as Pika tries to clear this bomb site. I sure hope that Direwolves have adequate flank camps to ensure that Elevate won't be sneaking up those staircases.
Time's going to start to get the better of them as well, but Pika gets DCH, equals that man count, 30 seconds to go. Getting themselves prepped, but they're very spread out. Harambe's the one with the diffuser. You see him over at Showers? Dining? Dining. And he's got one teammate to boot, and that means they're going to have to go for this plant in kitchen. A little bit, I guess, unconventional in a way. Elevate, they do have 2 toxic babes to be able to deny this.
And they're going to have to on match point, and they start to swing on, and it is Sapper to deny the plant. And easy as you like. Elevate can easily take 7-3 victory over Direwolves on Direwolves' own map picker. They are just a single map away from the APAC Playoffs Grand Final.
They are, and that was a really strong showing. I mean, I think that's important to point out. We said it a lot. I know I said it a lot. Direwolves' map pick